and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Kay. In today's video, we're going to focus on Tarot's High Priestess. That is the number 2 card in the Major Arcana. And we'll start with the Rider-Waite Coleman Smith image, and then I'll share a couple of other images that I really love. The High Priestess card is strongly connected to the concept of virginity and the maiden, the mother, the crone. Let's start with the horned diadem. Now this is the symbol of Isis, who is the goddess of death, birth, and rebirth. When you look at this crown, you see a waning and a waxing moon on each side, and in the center is a full moon as an orb. And this is colored silver. The High Priestess card is represented by both the planet Venus and the moon. Also notice the crescent moon lying at the priestess's feet. You see the folds curving into water and really flowing around that crescent moon. This represents the stream of consciousness. It represents intuition and the underworld, the unseen world. When looking into this card, you notice that that blue is in the background of the whole card. That blue represents the water, and also that the moon's tides really affect, the ebb and flow can really affect our emotions, which are also represented by water. Notice in the priestess's lap, she's holding a scroll and is partly veiled. It looks as if the High Priestess is protecting this scroll, kind of saying, what is written is not for all eyes to see. Also note that that scroll has lettering, Torah, which is the scroll of sacred knowledge. And notice the A is partially covered. When I see that, I think of kind of a word game, changing this around a little bit, adding a T to the word Torah and looking at it backwards says tarot. And maybe this is an indication to the vast wisdom that is contained within tarot. We see the cross on the High Priestess's chest. This is an Ankh cross, and it represents the material world. It's also said to represent the masculine and the feminine. In the image, there are also 2 veils. One veil is tucked underneath the diadem of the High Priestess and flows over her shoulders. The other veil is behind the High Priestess, between the 2 pillars. And when you look at this veil representing the barrier between the 2 worlds, this veil has the pomegranate. And pomegranates also represent femininity and virtue because they have so many seeds. And you notice the green palm fronds on this veil. In ancient medieval times, when an individual returned from a spiritual journey or a religious journey, it was customary to put the palm frond at the bottom of their feet. And the 2 pillars on either side of the priestess, the black and the white, represent the evil and positive forces of the universe. You could think kind of yin and yang, masculine, feminine, positive, negative, light, dark. Our bright shadows, our dark shadows. The lettering on the pillars, the B represents Boaz and the J represents Joachim, and these are said to be the pillars that stood outside of Solomon's temple. At the top of the pillars, you see a lotus bud on each pillar. They're not flowered because the reference is to virginity and also to expansion and possibilities. What additional symbols do you see in this card? I'd love to know. Put your comments below. Now let's have a look at Crescents, the Light Seers Tarot, this version of the High Priestess. Now this card is so cool. I'm going to turn it in different angles, and I want you to look at the eyes, because at some angles her eyes are closed and at other angles her eyes are open. And when I first saw this card, it really reminded me that there are so many different illustrations of the High Priestess, and typically the High Priestess has her eyes open and her mouth closed. And this reminds me that it is so important in order to hear our own wisdom. We have to train ourselves how to listen. This priestess also has the symbol of the material Ankh at her throat. And atop her head, she has the crescent moon. When I take in this card, what I see is that this high priestess is receiving a download through her crown chakra. And her brow chakra, her third eye, is open and it's white, reflecting purity of thought. So I will put a link in the description for this card. I really recommend you check it out. This is Kim Cran's High Priestess from the Wild Unknown Tarot. Her High Priestess is represented by a calm, regal tiger. This High Priestess uses her silence and non-action to access her own inner wisdom. And I wondered, this High Priestess being represented by a feline, referencing 9 lives, I wonder about also referencing 9 realms. What do you think about that? The author suggests that when this card turns up in a reading, it is a call to action to go within and access our own inner wisdom, to listen to our own knowing. Well, that is a lot of information about the High Priestess, and I would love to know what you know about the High Priestess. Share with me symbology or ideas that I missed. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.